Understand Saragarhi, you have to understand the Samana. In the late 1890s, the British Raj had pushed its frontier into the high tribal belt between the Punjab and Afghanistan, a chain of crumbling forts strung along ridges that no civilized army had ever truly controlled. The two anchor positions were Fort Lockhart to the east and Fort Gulistan to the west. Between them, separated by miles of broken country, lay a problem of communication. Direct line-of-sight signaling was impossible, so the British built a tiny relay post on a knife-edge ridge midway between the two, a single block of stone walls, perhaps 40 meters across, with a wooden signaling tower bolted to the roof. They called it Saragarhi. It was never designed to withstand a siege. It was designed to flash heliograph signals, sunlight on mirrors, from one fort to the other. Its garrison was 21 men of the 36th Sikhs, a regiment raised only 10 years earlier, under the command of Havildar Ishar Singh. The signaller was Sepoy Gurmukh Singh, 22 years old, the youngest in the post. In the summer of 1897, the entire frontier exploded. A Pashtun preacher known as the Mullah Sayyid Akbar had united the Orakzai and Afridi tribes into a single jihad against the British presence in the Khyber and Samana. By late August, they had overrun the Khyber forts. By early September, they were testing the Samana line. Twice they attacked Fort Gulistan, twice they were repelled. Colonel John Houghton, commanding the 36th Sikhs from Fort Lockhart, knew what was coming next. The tribesmen had learned. To take Gulistan, they would first have to take the relay between the forts, cut the heliograph, blind the British, then crush the garrisons one by one. At dawn on September 12th, Gurmukh Singh climbed the signaling tower and saw the valley below filling with men. Thousands of them, banners, drumbeats, a tide. He flashed the message to Fort Lockhart. The reply came back: hold, reinforcement was impossible. Here is what the history books often skip. The 21 men at Saragarhi were not trapped, not yet. The tribesmen, fluent in mountain warfare, sent emissaries forward under a flag of negotiation. The offer was explicit: lay down your arms. Walk out, you are Sikhs, not Englishmen. This fight is not yours. Go home alive. Havildar Ishar Singh refused, not in a speech, not in a flourish. He simply went back to his loophole and chambered around. Under the regimental code of the Khalsa and the soldier's oath of the 36th Sikhs, a post entrusted was a post held. There would be no parley. The first assault came around 9 in the morning. Massed infantry charging uphill across open ground, screaming and firing as they came. The defenders had perhaps 400 rounds per man and a single Martini Henry rifle each. They fired in volleys, picking targets, conserving ammunition with the discipline that British drill sergeants had drummed into them for a decade. The first wave broke under the weight of accurate fire. Bodies piled at the foot of the wall. Second wave, third wave, each one driven back. Gurmukh Singh, from the tower, transmitted every detail to Colonel Houghton at Fort Lockhart in real time. Houghton later said it was like watching a man narrate his own funeral. But here is the moment that turned Saragarhi from a defense into a legend. Around midday, two of the defenders, Sepoy Bhagwan Singh, who had been killed early, and Sepoy Lal Singh, severely wounded, left a gap in the firing line. The tribesmen exploited it. A breaching party crept along a dead angle in the wall. Beneath a section, the defenders could not depress their rifles to cover. They began to dig at the masonry with picks and crowbars. The wall was old. It had not been maintained for siege. Stone by stone, they pried it loose. Havildar Ishar Singh recognized what was happening. He understood with the cold clarity that comes to soldiers in the last hour that the post was going to fall, and he made the decision the regiment would remember for the next century. He pulled his men back into the inner courtyard and ordered them one by one to take fixed firing positions at the choke points. Then he himself moved to the breach. He would hold the gap alone in the open so the others could keep firing from cover for as long as possible. He was the first to die in close-quarter combat at the breach. The tribesmen poured through over his body. What followed inside the walls of Saragarhi was not a battle. It was a series of executions in reverse, each Sikh soldier killing as many attackers as he could before being overwhelmed in his corner. Hand-to-hand fighting with bayonets, rifle butts, kirpans. The inner barracks block was set on fire by burning brushwood thrown over the wall. Smoke filled the courtyard. The defenders, blinded and choking, kept firing into the haze. Throughout all of it, Sepoy Gurmukh Singh remained in the signaling tower. He was the last functional defender. The tower was wooden, the only exposed structure left, and it was burning. He signaled Colonel Houghton at Fort Lockhart and requested permission to stop transmitting and take up his rifle. Permission was granted. He climbed down, fixed his bayonet, and according to the tribesmen who later spoke of it, he killed 20 men before they finally brought the tower down on top of him with fire. By 3:30 in the afternoon, every defender of Saragarhi was dead, 21 men. The post had held for nearly 7 hours against a force conservatively estimated at 6,000 to 10,000. Afghan oral accounts later placed their own losses at 600 dead and over 1,000 wounded, staggering for a tribal force operating without medical infrastructure. But here is what their sacrifice actually bought. While the tribesmen were bleeding themselves white at Saragarhi, Colonel Houghton at Fort Lockhart was reinforcing Fort Gulistan, repositioning reserves, and preparing the counterattack. The relief column under Lieutenant Colonel Richardson reached the area 2 days later. The post at Saragarhi, when British troops finally re-entered it, was a charnel ground. They identified every single defender. They counted the enemy dead piled outside the walls. If you are still with me, drop a 1 in the comments. 1 for the number of men needed to hold a position when the order is to hold. When the news reached London, the British Parliament did something it had never done before for a battle and has not done since. The full account of Saragarhi was read into the record, and every member of the House, government and opposition, rose to their feet in a standing ovation. Queen Victoria personally awarded every one of the 21 defenders the Indian Order of Merit, the highest gallantry award available to Indian soldiers under the Raj at the time, equivalent in prestige to the Victoria Cross. It is the only instance in military history of an entire unit, to the last man, receiving the highest decoration of its service for a single engagement. The names matter: Havildar Ishar Singh, Naik Lal Singh, Lance Naik Shanda Singh, Sepoys Sundar Singh, Ram Singh, Uddar Singh, Sahib Singh, Hira Singh, Daya Singh, Jivan Singh, Bola Singh, Narayan Singh, Gurmukh Singh, Jivan Singh, Ram Singh, Bhagwan Singh, Buddha Singh, Jivan Singh, Nand Singh, and Gurmukh Singh the Signaller. 21 names, memorized today by every recruit who joins the Sikh regiment of the Indian Army. The strategic impact of Saragarhi was enormous and immediate. The tribal coalition, having spent its blood at a stone outpost the size of a cottage, could not press the assault on Fort Gulistan with the same force. The Tura expedition that followed in October, under General Sir William Lockhart, with 35,000 troops, broke the Afridi-Oryxi rebellion permanently. The strategic frontier held. The lesson British and later Indian military doctrine drew from Saragarhi is the one Clausewitz would have recognized, that the moral force of a defensive position is exponentially greater than its physical strength when the defenders decide that surrender is not in the lexicon. September 12th is observed annually in the Indian Army as Saragarhi Day. UNESCO has listed Saragarhi as among the 8 greatest stories of collective bravery in human history. The Battle of Thermopylae has 300 Spartans. Saragarhi has 21 Sikhs. The arithmetic is brutal and the principle is identical. CTA 1213 Min. If stories like this, the ones the textbooks compress into a paragraph but that actually decided campaigns, are what you came here for, hit subscribe. WarDossier is building the deepest archive on YouTube for forgotten battles, last stands, and the commander's history misremembered. We need 993 more of you to unlock the next tier of military archives we want to bring. Subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm to put more of this in front of more soldiers' grandsons. Outro 1315 Min. The lesson of Saragarhi is not that 21 men can stop 10,000. They cannot. The lesson is that 21 men, holding a doomed position with full knowledge that they are doomed, can extract a price so high that the enemy's victory becomes his defeat. The tribesmen took Saragarhi. They lost the war. Havildar Ishar Singh understood, in the breach, what generals at staff colleges spend careers trying to articulate, that some positions are worth more dead than alive. That signal tower, transmitting until the flames took it, became one of the loudest sounds in the history of the British Indian Army. Drop in the comments, would you have accepted the surrender offer or stood at the wall? There is no wrong answer. Only the one you would actually choose at 9 in the morning with 10,000 men on the slope below you. If this one hit my full breakdown of the defense of Rorke's Drift, 150 British soldiers, 4,000 Zulu warriors, 11 Victoria Crosses in a single night will blow your mind. That video is next. I will see you in the next dispatch. On September 12th, 1897, 21 soldiers of the 36th Sikhs Regiment held a signaling outpost called Saragarhi against an estimated 10,000 Afridi and Oryxi tribesmen during the Tura uprising on the northwest frontier of British India. Commanded by Havildar Ishar Singh and including the legendary signaller sepoy Gurmukh Singh, the defenders refused a surrender offer and held the post for nearly 7 hours, killing an estimated 600 attackers and buying critical time for Colonel John Houghton to reinforce Fort Gulistan from Fort Lockhart. All 21 defenders were killed in action. Every one of them was posthumously awarded the Indian Order of Merit, the only time in military history an entire unit received the highest gallantry award of its service for a single engagement. The British Parliament rose in a unanimous standing ovation when the account was read. UNESCO recognizes Saragarhi among the 8 greatest stories of collective human bravery. This is the full operational, tactical, and strategic breakdown of the most extraordinary last stand of the 19th century. Timestamps: 00, 00 the counterintuitive truth 00, 30 the empty ridge 03, 00 the decision that could not be unmade 06, 00 the voice that would not stop 09, 00 the legacy they did not live to see 12, 00 subscribed 13, 00 the final lesson.